Yeah, whoa. Look, they can never keep me down, I'm going. And if I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit, cause I know that every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up.
What's going on, everyone? Episode 55 of Locker Talk Live. On today's show, joined by my man Scotty T, and we're going to break down playoffs because they are here. That's right, for UIL and TAPS playoffs are starting. Well, actually, yeah, they are starting this week for TAPS as well. So everything is starting up this week, and we have a lot to look at. 6A all the way down to 1A. We have some playoff brackets ready to roll. Don't have them down for TAPS yet on our website. We'll have those out later today. But we do have the 6A through 1A. But for all that, I haven't talked to you in a while, Scott. How you doing, man?
Josh, you're doing good, brother. Doing good. We've been all over the place. Let's see. I don't even know. We've been in Austin. We've been in Houston. We've been in San Antonio. We are media day yesterday. Another team out there today. We got another one tomorrow and Thursday. And in the meantime, it's Christmas. Week 1 Texas High School football playoffs are here, private and public. I'm ready to talk some football. Josh, how are you doing today, my brother?
I'm doing good. Got my Cowboys hat turned on backwards because they didn't show up this week, and it was
tough showing.
Quite surprising to not only me, but I think a lot of people in general. But you know what? That's okay. You're gonna have those weeks like that. I mean, if you look at the NFL this week, that's really what it was, right? I mean, you had the Rams losing, you had the Bills losing to the I think it was the Jaguars. So.
Let's go Jags.
So lots of teams that you don't normally see winning games. Well, I wouldn't put that in the same category as Tennessee and Denver, but Jacksonville winning was a little bit of a surprise. So, but hey, you know what? Those things happen. I think Dak looked a little rusty after being off for basically 20 days. So we'll see what happens this Sunday. But man, I haven't talked to you since the Stros. Stros lost to the Braves. Shayna's not here. She can't rub it in with you right now. She'll have to talk some trash the next time she's on with you. But man, what about them Stros?
We can move on, if you'd like.
No comment.
We can move on. Thank you.
Hey, that is A-okay. We can definitely move on. Well, we have some, obviously some stuff to talk about. As we know, playoffs started. Let's go ahead and go through these brackets right now. I don't know if you have the brackets pulled up, Scott, but I mean they will be here for you to view. So let me go ahead and put those up for you right now. It's going to be kind of hard to view. Obviously, 64 teams from each 6A through 2A, and then 32 teams for 1A. So it will be kind of hard to see. But let's start off with 6A D1 here. Let's start off.
Hey, real quick.
Yes.
Before we do this, well, I'm going to throw it back up if you want, but how about Joey Mcguire going to Texas Tech? Big get for Tech. I just want to say, because I'm a Baylor guy, that's no secret here on the show for those who listen and watch. It hurts. This one hurts. There was some controversy whether or not controversy, but it was whether or not he was going to stay whenever David Aranda came in, because Coach Mcguire came in under Matt Rule. So Coach Mcguire, well deserving to get his shot at a head Division I football program. It just stinks that they're going to a Big 12 rival from Baylor. But I think it was a home run hire. So congrats to Coach Joey Mcguire.
Definitely, I agree with you right there. So, all right, let's take a look at 6A D1, and let's look at these immediately. Is there anything that stands out to you in regions 1 through 4? I think obviously you think Region 1. You think you got Allen there, and that's kind of it right there, right? I mean, you got your team of destiny, McKinney Boyd there, but I mean, who knows if they'll even get out of the first round against Louisville. Region 2, I think Rockwall is one of the teams to look at. Region 3, let me see. I'm trying to look here. My eyesight isn't that great. I think North Shore's there. Yeah, North Shore's in Region 3 and Region 4. Region 4 might be one of the. I think like Travis is in Region 4. So. Well, what do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I'm going to start off with Region 2, kind of work our way down from there. And, looking at it right now, I'm going to start off in the top half of the bracket. Allen is maybe one of the clear favorites. I don't know how Odessa Permian is doing this year or El Paso Franklin, but, I mean, Allen looks like they'll have an easier path to at least the round 3, whoever comes out of that top half of the bracket. I mean, Keller's having a pretty good Allen in that top half of the bracket should come out. I mean, I would say Keller might be their biggest proponent or biggest competition there, if I had to guess. But then on the bottom half of Region 2, that's where it gets pretty interesting to me. You got Arlington Martin potentially playing McKinney Boyd in the second round. That could be a really good matchup. Arlington Martin preseason top 10. Still having a really good season overall. So, and McKinney Boyd has shocked people. So, but then there's that one team, the number 1 ranked team in the state, the South Lake Carroll Dragons, also in Region 1, played in the state championship game last year. So, all it looks like, this is why we play. You never know. If I was a betting man, I would probably do South Lake Carroll versus Allen to come out of Region 1. Josh, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think I actually agree with you there. I didn't saw that little writing there. It's going to get a little easier to read week by week. But South Lake Carroll and Allen, I think you definitely see them potentially battling it out in Region 1. Although, we talk about it, but, I mean, Allen, for them anyways, they've struggled this year, right? They have 2 losses on the year.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
I would say this might be one of the more beatable Allen teams that maybe we've seen in a little bit. Yeah. I know they maybe had an early exit last year or 2 years ago, but those are just some of my initial thoughts out of Region 1.
Another one, I think you mentioned this one as well, Westfield in Region 2. I didn't mention them when I first started talking, but I think.
Well, let's go Region 2.
Yeah, I think you're looking at potentially here's the thing. The Region 2.
Throw that graphic back up.
Yeah, let me throw that graphic back up for you so you can take a look at it. Hold on, give me my second here to get my mouse ready. But Region 2, think about this. You got Duncanville in Region 2. You got Spring in Region 2. You got Rockwall in Region 2. You got DeSoto in Region 2. You got Westville in Region 2. Region 2 is stacked in D1.
No doubt. Duncanville, their only loss on the year is to Mater Dei, so definitely one of the betting favorites. But then you also got Spring, led by Bishop Davenport. Spring might have the toughest first-round matchup, in my opinion, going against the Woodlands. And then on the that's tough because then I don't know who's going to come out of that top bracket. Spring and Duncanville probably get there. I would expect Klein Kane to beat Cy Woods in that first round. So that would be my guess, but you can't sleep on those other teams too. As you mentioned, Rockwall, DeSoto, Westfield, that bottom half of Region 2 bracket is brutal. So maybe that could be the advantage of either Duncanville or Spring, whoever comes out the regional semis or regional finals game, the 4th round playoff game, could potentially play a beat up team no matter what. So whoever comes out, Rockwall, DeSoto, or Westfield, those teams are. that's a tough round. It's a tough matchup. So that Region 2 could be the region of death.
I'm gonna say Duncanville versus Westfield for the Region 2 for battling it out for the Region 2 winner right there. So
let's go Region 3.
Yeah, Region 3 for me. I think
D1.
I think. Oh, did I go D2? Yeah, D1.
No, you're right.
All right. I think this one is North Shore and kind of everyone else at this point, right? So, Atascocita will have a chance to play them again, and maybe, I don't know. I think their quarterback is out for the season, Gavin Sessions. I'm not sure.
Correct.
But yeah, I think if you're North Shore, this is kind of the bracket you want to be in, right? Especially we've talked about all season how, it's really North Shore's defense is going to carry them a certain way. So I'm not really seeing any high-powered offenses. Dickinson has given people trouble. Pearland has given people trouble. But will they be able to do it against North Shore? I'm not so sure. What do you think?
Yeah, the top half of the bracket, North Shore's by far the clear favorite. Pearland is having a pretty good season. Jersey Village, though, coming out of District 17 6A, the district champs, but they would play North Shore in the regional semis. North Shore's going to North Shore. It looks like that bottom half of Region 3 is a tad more interesting. Just with the way this year's shaking out, you got Dickinson, and Atascocita was one of the favorites, but with their quarterback going down, they're a little banged up. Ridge Point is interesting too. You got Bert Emanuel Jr., a quarterback there, having a phenomenal season. I don't know if they have enough to beat North Shore though. I mean, you got Denver Harris; he's back now. That North Shore defense it's hard to score points on them, and so you really all their offense has to do is just put up enough points to win the game because your defense is going to be holding most people at bay. So yeah, probably North Shore. I would like to see. Josh, there's a rematch there that we could potentially see with Ridgepoint and Dickinson.
Yeah.
Yep. That was a really good regular season matchup, a non-district matchup where Ridgepoint barely squeaked by Dickinson. So we could potentially see a rematch there. And then whoever wins that game will probably play North Shore.
Yeah, I was just about to point that out. There's definitely potential. Of course, Atascocita is there, and Dickinson would have to get past them, but definitely potential for Ridgepoint and Atascocita to meet in the region.
Hey, Josh, I'm looking at the chat here. Cade there in the chat saying McKinney-Boyd Broncos. Man, they could make a deep run there in Region 1. We just talked about that.
Yeah, I think that's, obviously I think in Region 1.
Or Region 2. Sorry.
No, it's Region 1. McKinney-Boyd's in Region 1.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. It's Region 1.
Okay.
I mean, obviously they would have to get past South Lake Carroll in the third round, so the Region 1 semis. So definitely a tough outing for them. But if they can here's the thing: if they can somehow get past South Lake Carroll, they're most likely playing Allen, right? So which would be a rematch.
Yeah.
So
hey, I want to get your thoughts on Region 4 if we want to move there. Because I know we want to get to a lot. I mean, we're probably going to be here all week breaking down these brackets here. But what are your initial thoughts on D1 Region 4? Because one of the better teams is down in Region 2 or is down in Division 2. So who do you like in Division 1, Region 4?
Yeah, if you look at it, I think Lake Travis should have an easy time getting to the regional finals, right? So if you look at it, after they beat Cedar Ridge, you'll either have Reagan or East Central, and then they'll most likely. After that, who knows how the other part will go? I think Lake Travis has an easy part to the region finals, and then you look at that. I think the top half of that bracket is where things are going to be interesting, right? You have Austin Bowie, who I think has the potential. Their only two losses this year are to Westlake and Lake Travis, right? So they have. I think they could probably make it a couple of rounds. You have some Valley right there. You have Brennan. That top part is going to be the most interesting part of that bracket. What do you think? You may throw it up there for you?
Yeah, throw it up there for me. I'm looking off to the side, but I'm looking to the camera here. Bowie is. They're great. Smithson Valley, though, has been one of the higher-ranked teams in the VYPE rankings year week in and week out. So was Brennan. Brennan's been the number 2 team behind Westlake at one point. So, yeah, that top half of the bracket is interesting. I think Lake Travis got a good draw going into Region 4, being on the bottom half of that bracket. So probably have a quote-unquote easier path to the regional finals. But who knows is going to come out of that Region 4. It looks like, man, to be honest, Region 1 and Region 2 are stacked. Region 3 and 4 are going to be good games, but maybe teams are a little banged up or the usual suspects aren't there, if that makes sense.
I think you have just more clear favorites in Region 3 and Region 4 compared to Region 1
right.
and 2. So you have kind of those top-tiered teams and then teams that could maybe get past them, but most likely not. We'll see. So let's move on to 6A. Unless you have anything else to say, let's move on to 6A D2. What do you have anything else to add?
Nope.
All right, 6A D2. We'll start in Region 1. And just at first glance, it seems like Region 1 didn't Mcguire, if they can get past Flower Mound, which that's a really good round 1 matchup there. We'll see. Prosper beats Allen, and so you're thinking, okay, what's Prosper going to do? I think this first game for Prosper will be kind of key to see how they're going to do in these playoffs. Was the Allen win? Was it something more, or was it just one of those kind of upset wins? You'd have to think Denton Mcguire, but they, like I said, they do have a really tough test in Flower Mound in round 1. But what say you, Scott?
Yeah, I like a Byron Nelson and Denton Mcguire regional semis. They're in the top half of the bracket, and then Prosper's interesting, man. They shocked some people beating Allen. Allen for the first time in a while, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm just not as familiar with those bottom half Region 1 teams there. I like how Abilene is doing, and I think Eaton's having a pretty good season there too. So Prosper sticks out to me as it could be a Prosper Denton Guyer regional final, but I mean Guyer's been rolling, so it's really hard to pick against Denton Guyer to come out of Region 1.
Yeah. Region 2, you got Garland sitting at 10-0, and then they can go a couple rounds in Region 2. And of course, you got Cedar Hill. What are they going to look like in these playoffs this year? And of course, Bridgeland. Is it going to be kind of a boom or bust situation for them? And then Rockwall Heath, I think, in this region is probably, at first glance, the clear-cut favorites in Region 2. But what do you think, Scott?
At first glance, yeah, you got Garland Cedar Hill could be a really interesting matchup. I mean, Cedar Hill went to the state championship game last year. I know this is a new squad, maybe not rolling as well as they were last year, but on the top half of the bracket, it could be a Garland versus Bridgeland. I mean, Bridgeland got a tough first-round matchup against Klein Collins. Klein Collins went 0-4 to start the season, and now they were the district champs. So that's a tough first-round matchup of Bridgeland and Klein Collins, but I do expect the winner of that matchup to play in the regional semis, and it could be, I don't know who's going to come out of it. Bridgeland is so dependent on Connor Wigman on how he's doing there. So, but then that bottom half of the bracket is interesting too. I love the Tomball and Cy Park matchup. John there in the chat was saying Cy Park in the house. Man, with 3 1,000-yard rushers, Cy Park and Harold Perkins. Harold Perkins is dangerous. He is all over the field. He is as good as the Bill Goods sold. So he's the real deal. I mean, you had Sark and Jimbo out there and a billion other people, it seemed like, watching at the Cy Ranch game a couple weeks ago. So that was pretty awesome. But Rockwall Heath on the top half of the bottom bracket. Watch out for Rockwall Heath. Whoever comes out of the regional semis it's either going to be, in my opinion, probably Cy Park or Rockwall Heath. And that's going to be a great game. That's going to be a great game. I mean, we saw Rockwall Heath and Rockwall go down to the wire earlier this year. So Region 2, I have no clue who's going to come out of this because there are some really dynamic players across the board in this entire region. And I think it's interesting real quick too. Yeah. It's players who teams are really dependent on, like a Connor Wigman and Bridgeland. Cy Park has playmakers all over the place, but they're going to go as far as Harold Perkins take them, right? So those teams are really dependent on their great playmakers. That's why I don't know who to pick in Region 2.
Well, let's talk about Region 3 and Region 4 because I think it's safe to say it would be one of the ultimate upsets in Texas high school football if we're not seeing KD from Region 3 and Westlake from Region 4 in that state semifinal matchup. I think Westlake, most likely will have a round 2 that will be fairly interesting because they'll take on San Antonio Johnson team that's red hot, and so that will be an interesting thing to look at. But if you just look at things on paper, no two teams have been better this year, especially in the 6A realm, than Katy and Westlake. And of course, they both just happened to fall into the Division II bracket, just like last year was North Shore and Westlake in Division I. I mean, do you any of these teams? I'll put this up right here for you so you can take a look. But are there really any teams in Region 3 and Region 4 that can give Katy or Westlake fits? I think, like I said, maybe San Antonio Johnson in round 2 if they get there against Westlake. But what do you think?
I'm going to start off with Region 4. Not really. I mean, the one that would Johnson and probably Cibolo Steele, who Westlake wouldn't see until the regional finals. Cibolo Steele could probably give them fits. And Vandegrift. Maybe
Vandegrift, but Vandegrift, I was more on that last week before they lost to Round Rock, and I don't know. You try to talk to Merle and see if were they resting some people? I don't really know, but that did not look good against Round Rock. But Vandegrift potentially, yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, and then looking at Region 3, the Houston area does have some really good teams, but none of them are Katy. Katy is dominated all season long, and same with Spring and Westfield. I think that's why we like that D1 Region 2 so well because some of the better teams ended up there. Not from some of the better teams in Houston are in Region 2, not as much Region 3. I think Stratford got a really tough break, potentially playing Katy in the second round. If they had a little bit better draw, they could have made it to that third round matchup. Same with Shadow Creek. I mean, Shadow Creek would see Katy in the third round, kind of similar to what they did last year, and we saw what happened. Katy was Katy. In the bottom half of Region 3, nobody really sticks out, honestly, of who I love. I would probably pick Clear Falls on the outset to make it, either Clear Falls or Fort Bend Bush to make it to the regional semis. But look, it's going to give the people what they want. Katy versus North Shore in the state semifinals. That is what the people want. And barring injury or anything like that, that's what I foresee happening.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Let's go ahead and wrap that up and move on to 5A D1 now, and we'll start in Region 1 and Region 2 again. Region 1, I'm not so sure. I mean, obviously someone's going to come out of there, but I'm not. When I look at these teams, I don't see anyone that really stands out as far as they'll make some noise. Obviously someone will make it to the state semis, but then you go down to Region 2, and who do you see waiting for them in Region 2? Probably Highland Park. Maybe College Station. I mean, College Station's look really good this year. For me, I think it's one of those two options. I think you're going to see Highland Park or College Station. I mean, they'll probably end up playing. They'll be playing each other in the region semis. So in round 3, so they're not going to. They won't be making it all the way there. So, but what do you think? Maybe
which I want to say,
maybe calling them in Region 1.
Whenever you get down to like 5A and down, that's where you start getting into maybe the smaller towns, more of your true Friday Night Lights field. So that's why, like, in Region 1, I'm not as familiar with, like, Lubbock Coronado, for example, or Amarillo Caprock, El Paso Chaplain. So I don't know who to pick to come out of Region 1 here. I'll have to do a little more research on it. Region 2, though, some more DFW schools, very interesting. Yeah, you mentioned Highland Park. You mentioned, you also got Longview. And look who's at the very top of that bracket, though, Josh. Denton Ryan, the state champs.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean,
Region 2 is going to be tough.
Oh, yeah. Region 2 is going to be tough. Let's talk about Region 3 now. And I'm going to move it to me real quick. Region 3, I mean, I think you're going to get you'll get a rematch, or you got Paytown there. So and then you got Manville. Honestly, just looking at that bracket right now, I think heck, Manor versus Paytown round 2, that could be a good matchup if both those teams do what they're supposed to do in round 1. And then you got Dripping Springs versus Manville. Am I reading that right? No, they wouldn't play each other until the Region 3 semis. So, but there are some good teams in this Region 3 that could do some stuff. What do you think about Region 3? Let me throw it back up there for you.
Yeah, throw the graphic back up. I think Region 3 and 5A D1 is a lot more interesting than 6A D1 and D2 for coming out of Region 3. To be honest, I mean, look, you got Hightower who had a really. We talked about that one district, Manville, Hightower, and Paytown. They all just kind of beat up on each other, right? So, I mean, all those teams are fully capable. You got Booty Johnson, Friends. Well, I guess Cedar Park will win that first round matchup, but I could see. A Katy Paytown, Manor. These are just some really good quality football teams down in Region 3 that I don't know, like a Dripping Springs versus Fort Bend Hightower matchup. Those second round matchups look really good. So a lot of good teams coming out of Region 3.
Yeah, Region 3 is going to be fun to watch in 5A D1.
Oh yeah.
Region 4. I think maybe the sleeper team is Gregory Portland. They've they had a kind of a slow start, but kind of come on late. So watch out for Gregory Portland in Region 4 for 5A D1. And then I'm looking at the rest. I mean, yeah, I think Gregory Portland might have a really good shot to get it to the state semis. Just looking at how Region 4 is stacked up. I mean, I think there's.
If I had to guess,
it's a potential for Flower Buff to get there. CC Veterans Memorial.
Yeah.
So there's some teams there that could trouble them, but for me, I think it's Gregory Portland. What about you?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you here. I think either way, though, whoever comes out of Region 2 and Region 3 will be playing for the state championship.
That would be the popular guess if you just did
Yeah.
nothing else but look at things on paper, which is what we're doing right now. Of course, everything can play out a little different, but yeah, I think you're going to have a Region 2 versus Region 3 matchup for 5AD1. Let's move on to 5AD2. Let me go ahead and throw it up here, and let's start in Region 1 as I zoom in on my laptop here. Yeah, this one's kind of the same. Region 1, I think, is the hardest for us because I think that's the one we're least familiar with, if you will. So I can't pick a favorite in Region 1. I mean, you would think Grapevine, but Grapevine lost to a really good Wimberley team. That's a 4A school. So, I mean, what do we know? I think it's one, and then you look at Region 2, and that's where things get a little more kind of clearer, right? You got Alito at the top of the bracket chair. That you got Lovejoy that can maybe make a little bit of a run. But if you're asking me, who's the favorite to make state between Region 1 and Region 2, it's Alito, right?
It's got to be Alito. I mean, I will say Alito does have an interest. Alito, it's not a guaranteed path, though, to a state semifinal to come out of Region 2 because, in my opinion, who's their biggest competition? Probably Lucas Lovejoy. I mean, you see that Lovejoy's at the bottom of that bracket. Alito's at the top half. So they could potentially meet in Region 2 finals.
There's also a potential of a round 3 matchup between South Oak Cliff. That could be a very, very interesting matchup for Alito as well. So it's not 100% clear, but I think if you're looking at it, Alito looks to be the favorite there. Moving on to Region 3, let me take a quick look at Montgomery. You got Montgomery at 10-0, and of course the one and only, can't forget about him, Fort Bend Marshall. I think a lot of people. I think me personally, I'd love to see Alito versus Fort Bend Marshall again. Have Fort Bend Marshall maybe get that kind of revenge, if you will. But you got Crosby there as well. We know last year it looked like it was heading for Fort Bend Marshall versus Alito again, and then Crosby said not so fast. So they would see them in the third round if Fort Bend Marshall and Crosby both got there. But what do you see in Region 3, Scott?
In Region, kind of similar in D1, 5A, D2, Region 3 is a little more interesting than the 6A rounds. I mean, Fulcher's having a really good season. Montgomery is having a great season. First district championship since 1989. So don't sleep on the Montgomery Bears. They could make it all the way to the regional finals on that top half of the bracket. The bottom half, though, I mean, yeah, Fort Bend Marshall's rolling. I'm sure most people know watching here and listening saw that Chris Marshall, the wide receiver, just committed to the Texas A&M Fighting Aggies. That guy's the real deal. We saw him at the FBISD Media Day recently, and he lives up. He's very, very, very talented. And so Fort Bend Marshall, probably the favorite. Crosby had a couple early losses, weathered the storm. Brian Rutter's good squad too. So I would predict a Fort Bend Marshall versus Crosby, and whoever wins that game will probably play Montgomery. Those are my 2 cents out of Region 3.
Yeah, and then in Region 4, I think for me, you look at the top half of Region 4. I think if Liberty Hill gets past Bernie Champion in the second round, which that's what you kind of think. You kind of expect Liberty Hill and Bernie Champion to win their first round matchups. I think if Liberty Hill gets past that, I think they'll make it to the regional finals. And then that bottom half, I mean, it's kind of wide open. You think maybe Alamo Heights, they've had a really good year, I believe undefeated. So,
sure.
So you would think if Alamo Heights can kind of just handle their business, they should see Liberty Hill in the regional finals there. What do you think?
We got Sam in the chat saying, Crandall, let's go. So, pretty interesting here. I tend to agree with you. Here's the thing about Liberty Hill. Teams don't see offenses like that throughout the year. So, your district rivals and who you play in district, they're more used to seeing that because they can prepare because they've seen it beforehand. They're so hard to stop because teams don't see that throughout the season. So that's why Liberty Hill, I'm always tend to agree with Liberty Hill because especially if they can score early, they can really control the clock. It might be Alamo Heights. I mean, what do you think about Medina Valley? Do you like them too?
Yeah. maybe if they can get, I mean, they could potentially, I think, get to the regional semis. But then
Yeah.
obviously they'd most likely face Alma Heights, and I don't know about that matchup. I don't know if I like
Right.
Indian Valley in that matchup. So
Okay.
let's move on to the 4A realm. Let's go for a D1 first, and let's take a look at this bracket. We'll go region 1, and let's see here again. Hey, you gotta love the Porcupines being in the region 1 bracket there.
Hey.
But I think for me again, I think it comes down to region 2. You got Stephenville region 2. Stephenville's kind of red hot. You got Argyle right there in region 2. You got Melissa in region 2. So tons of good teams in region 2.
I mean, even
Waco La Vega.
even Waco La Vega.
Yeah, so
Waco La Vega has played for a state championship recently.
I'm looking at these region 1 teams. I'm not really seeing maybe Canyon, but for me, I think it's region 2 again. What do you kind of agree with that notion?
Yeah, I do. I'm really close to the camera. Sorry.
I
I do. It just seems like maybe it's because region 2 has more crossover between like Dallas, Central Texas, and the top part of Houston, that those teams are just really stout. So maybe that's why region 2 just seems to stick out a little bit more, really across the board.
Yeah. Let's look at regions 3 and 4. I think in region 3, my eyes are on El Campo and Ruben Owens. I mean, not just him. They have a running backfield that's crazy. Of course, led by Ruben Owens.
Hold on.
Yes.
Do you know how far El Campo made it last year?
I'm not sure.
They got knocked out in the first round, man.
Yeah, but Ruben
They got knocked out in the first round. Shocker. So I do expect El Campo to go further because they got knocked out in the first round and they have the number 1 junior running back in the country.
But for me, it's all about region 4. Austin LBJ last year, they lost in the state semis to Lindale, who lost to Argyle in the championship game. And they lost a lot of talent. You're like, okay, well, it's time for a rebuilding year for them. Nope, they for me have had a better year than last year, which is saying something. They look like they're on a mission. Honestly, I mean, there's always the potential for an upset, right? I mean, you look at one of their games a few weeks ago against Canyon Lake, it was close early on, and so which they would actually see in the region semifinals if Canyon Lake could get that far. But I don't see anyone in this bottom half of the bracket that's going to test them. I mean, maybe Cal Allen. So I would not be surprised to see Austin LBJ in the regional finals again, or the state semifinals, I should say.
I trust your judgment, Josh. I love it.
Also, my home alma mater is there on the bottom of the bracket.
Pleasanton.
They actually lost to LBJ in the first round last year, but they won on Friday. If they had lost on Friday, they would have played LBJ. But they won, so they got to avoid them at least until the regional finals if they were to get that far. So,
Hey, Shayna just entered the chat. She said, "Shout out to Beeville Trojans."
That's right.
Hashtag proud alumnus.
Could be Beeville versus Pleasanton in round 2. Former district foes back when I was in school. Beeville was one of our district opponents. So,
Booyah!
Let's see if there's if both those teams win, we might have to put a little wager on it, Shayna, since Beeville, you went to school in Beeville, so we'll see how that goes. Let's go to 4A D2 now. Let me pull it up here on our screen. And 4A D2 Region 1.
Carthage.
Well,
Carthage.
Are they Region 1 or are they Region 2?
It doesn't matter. Carthage.
I mean, hey, you never know. You gotta face the people. We got some more chat there if you want to look at that. And while I look at this bracket, is that from Shayna? Is it all from Shayna?
Tough blow, Shayna. Come on.
Shayna says,
blow.
She says, "Hey, you don't want to wager? I already won the World Series." Of course, as we know, Scott the Stros fan and Shayna the Braves fan. So
I'm glad you don't have the camera on me right now.
Well, but yes, look.
I'm just like devastated.
Well, look, for AT2, it's Carthage or bust. Where is Carthage on this, by the way?
They're Region 3.
Region 3, okay. But who are they going to play then? That's who we have to think. I don't know. Gilmer, maybe?
Gilmer again.
Is a team they could play. They could probably play. I'm not really seeing anyone else here that maybe Pleasant Grove. Salina is another team that could get there. So there are some teams in Region 1 and Region 2. But the question is, can they challenge Carthage who's in Region 3?
You know who could challenge him in Region 3?
Who's that?
I'm going to throw a team out there. You ready?
Yes.
Waco Connolly.
Okay.
Waco Connolly could challenge Carthage. Boom.
Well, and then in Region 4, you got Cuero, which has had a decent season, and then Wimberley. So, Wimberley has had a really good season. So, I think you could potentially have a very good state semifinal matchup in the Region 3, Region 4 area. So, let's move on.
Well, look.
Go ahead.
I know. It's I was kind of joking around, but also not joking around because I said Carthage no matter what in 4A D2 because they've won so many state championships, and it's not like people need to stop calling me. Sorry, we're a live show here, doing it live. Carthage has won not only a billion state championships, it feels like, but also within the last 20 years. Like they've won half of them. So that's why Carthage is probably your betting favorite going in 4A D2. But because they have won so many, they have a target on their back. People want to beat them so badly, and it's hard. Heavy wears the crown. It is hard to stay on top. So that's why I do expect Carthage to win, but they're going to get everybody's best shot.
Oh, agreed. I completely agree with that. Let's move on to 3A D1 here. In Region 1, I'm looking at Jim Ned and I'm looking at Brock. I think, Jim Ned, obviously, the reigning state champs. They would see each other in round 3. I think both of those two teams are probably the favorites to get out of Region 1. And we look at Region 2 here. Grandview, you got who's always right there, Malakoff. So I don't know. What do you think about Region 1 and Region 2, Scott?
I don't know too much for those, to be honest. I mean, Jim Ned made it to the state championship last year, right, Josh? Or did they win?
They did win. They beat, I believe, Hallettsville, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Oh, yeah. They were down like 21-0, 24-0, and came back and won.
Yep.
So, yeah, pretty interesting here. I mean, look, in 3A and below, really, it's starting with 4A. This is where we get into those really small towns here where the entire community gets behind. You get a couple really good playmakers here, some dynamic guys who know how to get in the end zone. You're going to be tough to beat in these playoffs. So, yeah, Jim Ned sticks out.
Yeah, and then in Region 3, you obviously have Hallettsville there. That can go. I'm interested in this Little River Academy, the Bumblebees. I'm interested to see what they can do. And then in Region 4, one of the teams I'm looking out for is Poteet. I think if they can get past their second round matchup, I think they might have a good chance to make a little maybe regional semifinal run there. So and then you look at the bottom half of that bracket, maybe Goliath, maybe London. London's probably the team that I would suspect that could probably get to the regional semifinals or regional finals, if you will, in Region 4, where I could see them playing. I could see Poteet in London in Region 4 battling it out. So anything else you want to add on that, Scott? Scott, are you there?
Sorry, I was on mute. No, all good. You nailed it.
Perfect. Let's move on to 3AD2. I think we'll end with 3AD2 just because we know that. I might do a quick look in on 2A and 1A for you, but let's go ahead and pretty much end it here. Let me throw up 3AD2 here. Give me 1 second. There we go. Boom. So here in Region 1, again, it's one of those tougher areas to really kind of guess on. Smarter people, more smarter people than me would have a better idea with that. And then in Region 2, you got your Gunter that's there, and a few others. And then we look on the other side of the bracket here. I think this is probably where I would want to look. Let me take a look here real quick.
Yeah, this is where you might thrive here on that right side of the bracket. I will say there are a couple teams that stick out. Newton over there in Beaumont, Southeast Texas, Golden Triangle area. They traditionally have a good program down there, so keep an eye out for Newton. And the other team is Poth. They could make a run.
That's my team right there, right? So I think last year they got out in the second round to Rogers. They wouldn't see Rogers to the third round this time if both those teams got there. I think if Poth plays their cards right, they could be in the regional finals and most likely playing like a Franklin, maybe a Taft. But yeah, Poth is a team to look out for there. Yeah, because of time-wise, let's go ahead and end it there, simply because we both have places to be, things to do. But before we do that, and the reason I wanted to end it early.
You don't want to show any love to some private schools here, Josh? Not yet?
Well, we don't have the taps up yet. So actually, let's go through D1 and D2 really quickly. We can talk about those on Thursday, the private schools. I think in 2A D1, let me take my little look here. Maybe Hamilton is what I'm looking at in Region 2. But this is where it gets a little harder, right? This is where it's always you have your favorites, but then after that, it kind of I think when you look at it though, I think you get to Region 4, you see Shiner, and that's where it's like, okay, well, they're probably the one. That's the one I would choose if I was a betting man in 2A D1. And my brother, who is a coach at Three Rivers, if they would win round 1, would most likely see them in round 2. So have fun with that, Jacob.
Have fun, Jacob.
That's right. 2A D2. Let me look at this one now. 2A D2. You got Monster, of course, is going to be. Albany is another one you can look out for in Region 2. Region 3, let me get there. Let me look here. You got Mart. I think Mart's the clear favorite in this whole bracket in their Region 3. And then Region 4, Fall City. That's a team I would look out for. They got to the regional. They got to the state semis last year, so that's another one to look at. Is Fall City? I believe their only loss this year was to Poth, who's a 3A school. So. Then I don't know enough about 1A six-man football to talk about it, so I'm not going to. But here I can throw up the brackets real quick for you. Here's 1A. D1, they play one less round than everyone else, and then 1A D2. And of course, we don't have the brackets for the private schools yet, but I would think you'd have to think Regents.
Not yet.
Those will be up today. I'm working on those after this. So Regents, I think, is a clear-cut favorite. For one, with probably a good matchup between them and Second Baptist towards the end there.
I'm about to say, I can talk some private school football here too real quick. I'm looking Division I TAPS because SBC is already done. Shout out to Kincaid. Shout out to John Cooper School for winning their SBC championships this weekend. I mean, Parish Episcopal at the D1 level, probably the clear-cut favorite. Don't sleep on St. Thomas, though. St. Thomas out of Houston, they got a really great quarterback over there who was leading the state of Texas in passing yards. So that's a good matchup. Regent School of Austin, I mean, probably the clear-cut favorite in D2. Tough draw for Second Baptist. Second Baptist lost to Fort Bend Christian last week. So Fort Bend Christian won the district championship. This is the first time in 8 years that Second Baptist has not won the district title in football. So Second Baptist will probably play Regents in the second round. In the past few years, they played in the third round, the semifinals. So tough draw for Second Baptist. But either way, to get to the state championship, they would have to play Regent School of Austin. So it's gonna be interesting. So I would probably guess Regent School of Austin comes out and probably wins. Probably playing Dallas Christian again. Dallas Christian, one of the better teams in the Metroplex and private schools. So it will probably be a Dallas Christian versus Regents round. Was it 4 years in a row maybe they've played?
No, so Regents,
I don't know.
Regents have been playing Trinity Christian. They played them 3 years in a row, and then last year played Dallas Christian.
Trinity Christian. Are you sure?
That's the
Cedar Hill. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Cedar Hill Trinity Christian
Yeah.
before they got kicked out of TAPS. So,
But you know what time it is, don't you, Scott?
what you got?
It's time for
Ooh.
Who's That Mascot? That's where I don't know why my thing is freezing like that. There you go. Now it's playing. So Who's That Mascot is where I give Scott the name of a school, and he has to tell me the mascot of that school. Of course, as we know, Shannon has filled in some weeks and has done fairly well. And Scott, you've done all right. You're that ho-hum 1-3, which in baseball is really good. So are you ready for the schools this week?
Bring it, baby.
All right, your first one is Austin LBJ. Favorite that I picked to go all the way.
I know. The Jaguars?
That is correct. Austin LBJ
Boom!
Jaguars. Hopefully,
Yes.
state champion Austin LBJ Jaguars when we get all the way. Are you ready for your second one?
Bring it.
Carrizo Springs.
Oh, I have no clue. I don't know. I have no clue. Carrizo Springs. I'll say Wildcats.
They are a team in 3A, had their first undefeated season, if not ever, in a really long time. And you are correct. They are the Wildcats.
No way.
That is correct. There you go.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
That
You
was
can
like
you can see it
from
on
the
screen.
clouds.
You see it. You see. Hey, that's 2 weeks in a row. Last week you got Saxy, so that's 2 weeks in a row. You've pulled one out there. So are you ready?
Boom, baby.
Trying to get the perfect record. Can he do it? All right. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Your last one is Sealy. I believe this is a Houston
I'm
area
going
4A school.
Sealy Tigers.
Sealy Tigers. Final answer for a perfect
Final
record.
answer.
All right, you are correct. He's done it. He's gotten the perfect score, 3-0. I did not expect this today, folks. Oh my goodness, can you believe it?
Everybody have a day. Have a day.
Well, hey, it seems like the perfect time to bring up our last segment of the show. One good thing. One good thing is where we tell you one good thing, whether it's sports related, life related, whatever it may be. Scotty, I'll let you go first. What's one good thing for you?
One good thing that I'm ready for this week is the Houston Open. Golf, the PGA Tour is back in Houston, Texas at Memorial Park. I won't go into the long history of it, but a couple years ago, they moved the Houston Open to Memorial Park, back to the city of Houston, city limits. And so it's a good time, great for the city of Houston. And so I want to give a shout out to my boy Kramer, who's playing in the tournament. Best of luck, man.
All right, and my one good thing is it's football playoffs, baby. That's got to be it. One good thing is that football playoffs are here, and I think it's going to be a great football playoff season. What I'm hoping for, I will say, this is Christmas for Texas high school football, right? So my Texas high school football wish is that the state games are more competitive than the last year's. Well, I should put a caveat on that because a lot of the 1A through 4A games were fairly close for the most part. I mean, we had some come down to the last play, but 5A and 6A definitely were not close. So my Texas high school football Christmas wish is that the games are closer, especially in the 5A and 6A realms. So, but before we get out of here,
Preach.
Scott, let people know where they can find us.
Man, we appreciate everybody watching us here on the YouTube live stream. You can listen to us. I'll be uploading the podcast version here shortly after we are done. But go follow us on our social media channels at VYPE Houston on Instagram and Twitter, at VYPE Texas on Facebook. Go to our website, VYPE.com. You can check out all the amazing content that we are posting on a daily basis. Hey, while you're there, you can also subscribe to be a VYPE Insider. Get exclusive coverage, premium content, expert analysis, videos. All of our playoff coverage you'll need to be a VYPE Insider to go check it out. So go sign up today, $2.99 a month. Or if you want to pay annually, it breaks down to $1.99. That's just $24 a year. And like I said, I've seen Malatesta spend more than $24 at one Starbucks run. I know there are a lot of people out there, too, who are the same way. Y'all Starbucks savages. That's just my 2 cents. I'm not a Starbucks guy. But it is pumpkin spice latte season. Holidays. Let's go. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Scott, I got to ask a question here. Did you get a little help
Uh-oh.
on these, who's that mascot today? Because I just looked at these YouTube comments here. Did you get a little help today?
I did not. I saw that Shayna was updating those in the comment section, but I did not see them until afterwards. I mean, I do have – see, it's like Inception right now. I see you, Josh, and now I see me. Heyo. But, no, I did not. LOL, no, he did it all on his own. Thank you, Shayna.
There we go.
Look, I didn't know. I couldn't even tell you the name of the school that second one. I don't know how Wildcat was it. That just, I literally just guessed. They just sounded like Wildcats.
They kind of do, don't they? Well, hey, that is our show today.
I knew Sealy, and I knew Austin LBJ. Those are the two I actually knew.
Well, hey, 3-0 for Scott the right way. No cheating there. We will be back on Thursday with another show. Tomorrow we'll have, of course, the Craig Penfield show and my Coach's Corner, 12 and 6. There will be some VYPE stuff coming. I don't know if it's going to be at 10 o'clock, but we'll have some VYPE stuff as well with Will. So stay tuned for that. And we'll be back on Thursday for looking at some of these playoff matchups and picking for them. So until then, I'm Wack. That's been Scott. And we'll see you at the games.